Hey everyone, I'm back. Got the motor in. I've already had it running. Had a few bugs to work out. Still got a few to go. Not necessarily with the motor itself, but the driver's alternator's not working. It was working before. Not exactly sure, what's going on there. Got to troubleshoot that. But we did have an issue on the passenger side. I'll just make it a long story short. Number 6 injector was stuck open. It took several hours to kind of diagnose it. I personally thought something mechanical was going on, like push rod had come out, or even bent or something like that. Maybe collapse lifter. I've done a few motors I've pulled where the lifters, like they bled off and over sitting for some time. This isn't a common occurrence, so it's not something that happens all the time, but I've had it happen twice in the 18 years I've been doing this, where I'll have the motor out, or even actually take it back. One was out, one was in, where I've pulled the motor apart, done a head gasket job or what have you, and I'll torque everything down. I'll even rotate the assembly around just to make sure everything kind of moving like it's supposed to. And then sometime between the time I put the valve covers on, get the motor back together, get it fired up, lifter will collapse or something will happen where a push rod pops out and I'll have a bad miss. Anyways, yeah, so anyway, I'm not sure what actually happened with the injector. I took it apart, found a piece of metal down the nozzle that was holding the tip open, or needle open. So anyways, back to the main point of this video. I've gotten lots of emails, lots of requests. I say lots, I don't have a whole real big following. But of the other requests I get and of the emails I get, everybody wants to see how I put the downpipe between the frame rail and the motor and the cab. So that's what this is about. And one of the things I do first, before I even do anything, get your inner fender out. It makes your life so much easier. When you're working with this, I mean, there's nothing. There's no room. So get this out of the way. And I've done it before. The first 4 or 5 jobs I did, I left this in just because. Well, I was younger. Now I'm in my lower 40s. I'm tired of hanging over fender wells. Especially with a truck that's got 4 inches of lift, and on 37s, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I know I could get one of those, the overhead creepers or whatever, but when you're working straight below you, it's kind of even that would probably be kind of a pain in the butt. So take the inner fender out. I'm going to do that, and I'll get started on showing you how to modify the downpipe to get down through the hole. All right, so I got the inner fender out. I'm going to go ahead and start making the custom downpipe now, which is it's all it is modifying a factory 6.5 92 and up exhaust system. I'll show you the kit I use here in a second. Here is what's left of the downpipe. I already started modifying. I thought I was taking a video, but I wasn't. So what I got is 2 things here. This is like the front half of what it would look like out of the box. I cut that in off for another project a year ago. I don't know, it's been sitting on the shelf for a long time. Anyways, so it would normally, look kind of like this. And as I explained in the video, I thought I was taking, but wasn't. What you want to do, cut this off before the bend, about 3 inches. They'll give you plenty of room to work with. Not every truck's the same. Otherwise, I'd take this someplace and have them built, but it all varies on whether you're doing a blaze or a truck, how the motor mounts are, if the motor or the transfer case has been dropped. Like this has a W transfer case or a W cross member. So between the motor mounts being a little wore, and this almost seems like it sits a little lower on this W cross member. So it seems like it's slanting back a little bit. And then, like I mentioned before, in my first video, when I was putting this motor together on the stand, one thing I was concerned about was the thickness of this exhaust manifold. And I was messing around last night after I got the inner fender out with just my just my 45 here, and it's a lot tighter with the extra thickness on that flange right here between the frame rail and the exhaust manifold. But again, could just be a combination of how everything's kind of slanting back. This really shouldn't sit that low. These bolts, at least this back half, the front looks okay. Like I said, I believe it's sitting back. I'm gonna say it 5 more times before I figure it out, but you know, those bolts should be up a little bit higher. So that could be messing with things as well. Anyways, get back to this. So what you want to do, cut about 3 inches from this bend, and don't throw this bend away. You're gonna reuse part of this, and I'll show you here. Well, I'll show you in a little bit. The main focus is getting the downpipe done. Tailpipe, you know, after the downpipe's done, you guys do whatever you want as far as that goes. I'll show you what I do, but and actually downpipe, you do whatever you want as well. So anyways, cut this off, which is here. This one just happened to be super long. I've got a picture of it, obviously, since I thought I was taking a video, I was taking pictures instead. This one is actually like way up here. But anyways, what I would normally do on a shorter one, cut right along the weld. That way this pops out, gives you a nice open area to stick this back in, give you a good welding spot. And what you'll end up doing is when this gets mated up to the turbo, you want a short area here and long area in the back here, because what it's going to do is bring that up a little bit. See if I can show you real quick. Not a whole lot of lighting here, and it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but it's going to want to sit somewheres like that. And if you got the frames with the cross member below the firewall on the inside of the frame, see those 2 bolts, one there, one back there that I just blocked the light out of, go ahead and cut the extra threads off that front bolt. Allows you a little more room. Anyways, once you get this up in there, kind of get your angle situated, go ahead and put just 2 tacks front and back. That way, if you got to move them here in a little bit, you can. Then you're going to want to get this 45, go ahead and put it on there. Spread those out a little bit. And then get that set up in the frame. And again, I'll show you that here in a second. Just kind of giving you a walkthrough before I show it to you. Hopefully that's making sense. So it should end up looking something like this, minus the booger welds. Just you can kind of see the angle there, how that's kind of slanted down and towards the finger well. And then this is actually, this 45 is twisted in just a little bit. And this one, just the way it worked out, the slope of things, and it could be, I should be a little less specific on what can cause it besides the angle of the transmission and or motor. You know, it could be worn body mounts, worn transmission mounts. It could be a number of things. But I do know that angle, or that truck's, or the, I don't know why I think I keep saying that. Why I do know that the engine is tilted back more than what it should be. So I don't know, you know, that could be transmission mount, could be motor mount, could be anything. This one took a lot longer to put in than normal, and I don't think I said it yet, but I ended up having I said leave it long. I ended up having to take that 3 inches off, so I said leave on, just the way the clearances worked out. So I'll get this, I'll get it in, get you an idea of what it's supposed to look like while it's in the truck, and then I'm going to work on getting the rest of the downpipe made. That has to be done in the truck. Once this piece is welded on here, there's not enough clearance to get it back through the wheel well. And it should come out looking something a little like that. Use a little more clearance there. Back there by the floorboard's about the same, but usually have just a little bit more there. I think it'll be okay though. And then, and from down here, well, not the best shot. I'll get it later, but you can see there's clearances there. And I did cheat a little bit. on that manifold. Again, let me get my flashlight, I suppose. That I did go ahead and clearance that. I can't even get to it. Pain in the butt. That ear, I cleared just a little bit because it is cast a little bit bigger, so or a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna get on to making the rest of the downpipe. I'll get the other fitting, show you what it looks like, and kind of start mocking it up. And here's the next piece you'll need for the rest of the downpipe. Cut it. It's a 180, and I could have swore I gave them, part number for the one that's usually the same length both sides, but I do that because, well, I'll do multiples in a row, and then you just cut it in half, and use one per build. I don't know if I messed up and gave the wrong part number or what, but anyways, cut this in half right here in the arch or bend, and then I'll show you what we do with that here in a second. And I'll have to trim some later on. I start with half to kind of get a feel with how things are going to look. So, because once again, everything's different for different trucks. They're close. Everything's within, a certain amount of inches, certain amount of whatever. But I'll get that cut and I'll kind of show you what we're going to do with it. And it just started pouring rain, so the shop's going to start getting loud. It'll end up looking like this, and this actually wasn't too far off. I've already cleaned up the cut area a little bit. And so it'll look like this. Kind of go up here. If I can get you up here. Where's my hole? Look a little something like that. I'll get some better light in here in a second. And just run it down the frame rail to the side of the transfer case. I'll get some stands under here so I can get a little better shot and some light. So, well, okay, so it moved a little bit when I was messing around, but basically made it up to that. Get it flush as you can with the angles you need to get it somewhere in this general direction. And actually it moved since I must have bumped it when I was taking the rest of the exhaust off. So I'll do it again once I get this piece cut. I'll get it straightened back out. So, and this is what you leave or save this piece for. Of course, you have to have you need it for your flange. But you'll cut it somewheres in here to kind of have a little bit of an angle, or you can even do it up here. Just cut at a little bit of an angle. Just depends how far you want it sticking past your transfer case. You'll want somewhere in here for your, I guess the end of this one on a fixed yoke 205, have the flange somewhere in here. But you also want to, since it's kind of up here, you want to bring it back down. And this, if I can get my hand up here, I'm not very good at this whole damn YouTube thing. Anyways, you'll want to bring it down just a little bit, so that, because it goes from 3-inch to 4-inch, so you want room. You want to bring it down and out just a little bit to get clearance from this frame and from this heat shield for your fuel lines. That's why I leave a little bit of that angle on there. Just to get it where I need to be. So I'm gonna cut that. I'll get that other piece back where it's supposed to be. Get everything kind of tacked, mocked up, so you can see where we're at. Probably a good thing it moved because I had forgot about the torque support rod, whatever you want to call it. It's loose now, so obviously it's just, when held tight, it's actually made it flush, not all gappy. And then because of the torque rod, I gotta run it a little bit different than most. I was gonna be sitting, get a flashlight up here for you, a little closer to the frame rail than normal. Normally you can kind of run it just about where I had it. Well, not where I had it, where it fell down before, kind of a straight run. So that means I'm gonna have to mess with the angles on that a little bit, but I'll get that cut, get the back two pieces tacked up, and then the test fit it and kind of go from there and see what happens. All right, so here's where it comes out about. little bit more of an angle, light coming down, but I can make it work on this end here. There's enough forgiveness where you can get it to show up just fine. So again, tack it there. You'll want to take this piece out to get a good weld where it butts up. Back there. If my camera was, there we go. You want to take it out so you can get a good weld, and then you actually want to take, once you get that piece welded up, you'll take the first half of the downpipe loose and weld up where it butts together up there. So I'm going to get this out, get it welded up, and I want to show you what it looks like when it's all done. Alright, downpipe's all welded up, hooked back up to the turbo. I'm getting ready to start the actual main exhaust now. What I do, and again, you guys do whatever you want, I just kind of give you how I do it and you can take it from there. I go ahead and lay out the exhaust and how it's going to be so I can start making rough cuts. And really all that needs to be cut is this piece here. I'll get it set just about where the end of the downpipe is. Then I'll actually measure the downpipe to the center of axle where it's at now, lay this out, cut it, and I'll go ahead and get the first piece up, get the muffler on, and get the hump section and the tailpipe rigged up, and start making my final cut on this piece here, and see where placement's going to be. And I actually need to email the customer, or not email, I'll text him tomorrow morning. It's a little late where he's at now. I'm going to see if he just wants me to dump it right over the axle, or if he wants the tailpipe out. If he does want the tailpipe out, I need to do some finagling again, because with the way the lift is and the way this receiver hitch comes down, if I did it coming out the side, it would put it probably good 5-6 inches down, just to get enough clearance so that when, because this is, you know, obviously going to be different than a normal Chevy. You know, like the shackles are normally up there, so there's no movement down here. I can get it tight as I can there, but with this, it's going to come back and could hit it. And this tailpipe's not super long, so if I tilt it back far enough, or excuse me, angle it back far enough, it could only come out to about here, which would be, yeah, it'd be dumb. So I'm thinking about maybe coming through here, trying to. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But again, it all depends if he wants it to dump out the side or just straight behind the axle. But I'll know more in the morning on that. I just kind of want to touch up on that. But not in the video, but this is it for tonight. I'll be back in the morning until we get started on it. All right, reached out to the customer this morning. Gonna get started on this. Not doing the tailpipe out the side, just gonna dump it right over the axle. So I'm gonna get the, like I said, the length measured from tip of that to right over the axle, and then I'll go to the center of the hump for where the axle is, do some rough cuts, and cut them long, of course. There's actually enough play in these where you can cram them in, you know, past the whatever we call it, the flange. So you can cut them, you know, 4 or 5 inches long if you have to, and most of it will go inside. So anyways, I'm gonna get on that, and I'll get it mocked up and show you what it looks like. Well, here it is done. Good thing about 205 is they got the bolts you can put a mount on here. Otherwise, I'll put one off of this cross member, off that cross member, off that's cross member, or not cross member, yeah. Old exhaust hanger, excuse me. I'm saying cross member. I had cross member in my head, and off that cross member. Then if we did a tailpipe sticking out, we would put one just about where the old exhaust hanger is. And the way it sits now, he could actually, if he wanted to, and if he wants me to send the tailpipe, I will, cut off this hanger here. We can still run the exhaust pipe out there if he changes his mind down the road. Should be plenty of clearance right now. I don't know, some people with good eyes can tell it's not centered now, but once the axle sits on the ground, it'll push back, be a little more centered there. And of course, if he's flexing off-road, which is one of the reasons we didn't run the side pipe, is if, you know, something catches on, it'll, you know, could rip it off. I don't know, maybe people off-road or what, but sticks get kicked up a lot, rocks, stuff like that, bang stuff, rip stuff off. Anyways, so plenty of clearances everywhere. Got the torque rod back in, which I don't know, I said earlier in the video that I forgot to even put that back in, so I was running my stuff, and I'm glad it fell off the stand because it reminded me to go ahead and get that put back on. Clearances there, and of course clearances, you can't see in the nice dark shop, but clearance on the exhaust manifold and frame up there. So this is all done. Still waiting on one piece for the crossover, so that won't be in this video, which I wasn't gonna do that anyways. That's pretty self-explanatory. I think I told you what I do. What I do is I'll take one half of the 6.5 side downpipe, or crossover, excuse me, cut it in half. I'll take part of the 6.2 side, cut it in half, and weld them right in the middle. And since he's wanting new stuff, usually I take, you know, used stuff, but his stuff was so old and rusty crusty that wouldn't have looked good, and I wouldn't have done that anyways. But again, he wants all new stuff where he can. So just waiting on the local parts store to get that in, and that'll be the last thing, that we can get it out of the shop, get it running, and take it for a test drive. But this is it for this video. I just kind of want to do some of the exhaust video. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.